Well, first of all, John, we have the most vulnerable population at risk. I knew that from my days of being governor, and also nothing has changed demographically. And we have over 720 or 30 or more thousand people who are elderly. We have over 230,000 people who are under 60 with chronic illnesses because of the hard work they've done. A lot of respiratory diseases, a lot of diabetes. We had a lot of problems that we know we were facing. And I just knew that if we weren't prepared, if people got lulled into a false sense of security, we were going to be harmed very, very devastating. And I thought it was just carnage waiting to happen. I wanted to make sure that people understood they should not get a false sense of security. I was hoping the president would not go down that road and making it look like we were doing something special. What we did, they didn't test, John. Up until a couple of days ago, we only had 40 tests done. Now I think we're at 130 or so. But with that being said, John, we have no testing. We're not prepared. People think that we're immune from this. And I will say this, I talked to the Vice President last night. I talked to Dr. Hahn, the FDA Director, yesterday morning. We need the testing. Test kits we have to have, and all the supplies that go with it. Talking to the Vice President last night, we need personal protection equipment for all of our first responders and all of our healthcare workers. We've got to make sure that we're not in a tier 2, because when it hits my state, and it has hit, it's going to be absolutely catastrophic, and we're going to make sure we're on top of this and do everything that we can to protect the people. But I'm concerned. How can you say that we're a beacon of some kind of hope here, that we've done something different? We've got 5 states that surround the state of West Virginia. And these people are the most beautiful, hardworking people in the world, but they're vulnerable on this situation here. If they're allowed to think, hey, we're protected, there's something we're doing differently. We weren't, we just doing testing and didn't know, and now we're starting to, and hopefully we'll be able to stay ahead of this thing. We've got hospitals that have been closing in rural areas because of a lack of economic vitality to keep them open. We shouldn't close any hospitals right now. We don't know what's going to be needed, John, and we got to be prepared. Everything good about a human being is in these people, and that's why I just love my state, and I love the people of my state. But the bottom line is I want to make sure they're protected, and I was scared to death that we weren't, and I was scared to death something would happen, and when it breaks out, the pandemic will hit with a vengeance, and that's what I'm afraid about. I'm hoping that we can avert that, and we're doing everything that we can now. I agree on closing the schools. I agree on closing social gatherings. I agree on all of these things, and we can all say we should have done a lot sooner, and we really should have, John. We've been warned and we've known about this, but for some reason Americans think that, hey, we're America. Well, you know what? We're human beings, and we're still vulnerable, and we've got to take care of each other. So I'm asking neighbors, if you have an elderly neighbor, go do some shopping for them. Don't let them be exposed. Help them a little bit if they don't have family members. And those family members that do have someone, make sure you're protecting your elderly patients, or your elderly family members, or family members that have been sick and have respiratory problems or have health problems. What I'm supportive of, first of all, let's find a cure for this virus. That's where all of our efforts should be right now too. Finding a cure, how we can keep people safe and get back to normal life as quickly as possible. Next of all, if you want to help working people, make sure you take the waiting period off and expand on unemployment comp. We already have a system in place. If you want to help small businesses, make sure that you take all the red tape off and be able to get capital into small businesses' hands quickly through the SBA or changing the restrictions we have on banks. Let's make sure, but just throwing money out for the sake of throwing money out thinking it's going to cure it, if you don't have a plan and you don't have a system that monitors that, John, you're going to be in trouble in the long run, and I'm concerned about that. Every mayor, every governor, every leader is supposed to basically, the first thing they do when they take office, make sure that you're doing everything you can and have in place to protect the people you represent. The mayors are stepping up. Basically, the governors are starting to step up, and they've done a great job. We in Congress have to step up and make sure we're protecting the people and make sure we're looking down the road. What happens if a second one comes behind this and we're not prepared, John?